Are you unsure on how to use some of these new Pokemon competitively? Well, allow me to lend you a helping hand. Hey guys, today we're going to go over Cetitan, and this to me is probably one of the strongest new additions to the Pokemon games. Cetitan is a very powerful and very versatile Pokemon. I have a lot of builds for you today, and I also have a gameplay at the end of this video from in-game in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where we use one of these sets, and I'll talk you through that game afterwards, so definitely stick around for that. So let's get into the Pokemon. Cetitan is an Ice type, and Ice is not the greatest type, it does have a lot of weaknesses, but with the stats this Pokemon has and the new buff to Hail, it's actually not too bad. 170 HP is a lot of HP. Having a base of 245 is really amazing. A lot of Pokemon can't hit that by maxing out their EVs. Then we have a solid attack at 113 and nothing too crazy, and the rest of the stats look pretty low. But this is where the beauty of Hail comes in. This defense of 85 is multiplied by 1.5 times in Hail. That's one of the new buffs, meaning that you're actually pretty bulky on the physical side, especially with that HP stat. The special defense is nothing too good, but we can make up for that by investing into this stat because we don't need any HP investment and defense is getting a buff from the Hail. So we're going to use our EVs to boost this up and make us bulkier across the board, if that's what we're going for in those kind of sets. Now, why would you want to use this Pokemon in Hail specifically? Well, look at the abilities. We get Slush Rush. Slush Rush doubles your speed if you're in Hail, so that 73 speed stat looks a lot more impressive when it's multiplied by 2, meaning this Pokemon really excels in Hail, getting both the defense bonus and the speed bonus. Now, the other abilities are great too. Thick Fat means that you will not take super effective damage from fire, which is really helpful, and it also halves Ice-type moves, making you pretty much completely wall Ice-type moves. Sheer Force is a great ability as well. It makes moves that have secondary effects to 1.3 times damage, but it nullifies their secondary effects, meaning things like Icicle Crash. This will get 30% increase more damage, but it will no longer have a chance to flinch. Ice Punch, more damage, but can't freeze. So that's something to keep in mind if you're using a Sheer Force set. Though something else to remember is if you're running Life Orb and the Pokemon has Sheer Force, the secondary effect of Life Orb actually doesn't kick in if the move is affected by Sheer Force. So if you had Life Orb and you used the Sheer Force Icicle Crash, you would get the Life Orb boost, but you wouldn't take that recoil from Sheer Force. But if you were to use something like Earthquake, which doesn't get the Sheer Force damage boost because it doesn't have that kind of a secondary effect, you'll still get the Life Orb damage boost, but you will take the recoil. So that's the beauty of Sheer Force. It's really strong when used with Life Orb. So let's dive into the first set, and that is actually going to be a Life Orb set, but it's not using Sheer Force. And the reason for that is a majority of sets that we're going to use in VGC, the double battles, are going to want to take advantage of Slush Rush. Now, you could easily get rid of Slush Rush and use Sheer Force here, and the build is completely fine and it works. You just won't receive that double speed in Hail. So we're going to focus on Slush Rush for this kind of a build at the moment, and I'll get into a Sheer Force one a little bit later. So Ice Spinner is the move I tend to use because Icicle Crash, while it's amazing and it does have 5 more base power, it does actually have a chance to miss. A 10% chance to miss for 5 more power is a risk that I just don't really want to take in a lot of my games. Now, if you're running a team that has terrain and you want to keep terrain, then do not run Ice Spinner. Ice Spinner gets rid of terrain. It's really good versing enemy terrains, but you do not want to be using it if you have a terrain. So in that kind of a team, you would run Icicle Crash. We're running Liquidation. Now, the reason for that is Liquidation is really good stab into the things that resist ice, like water types. And we are going to be Terra Water as well, boosting the power of Liquidation and giving us stab on it, meaning we hit things like Arcanine and Armarouge really hard when normally they'd resist us. Superpower is here as well because what else resists ice? Well, Steel, and Superpower really makes Steel pay. This is really good into things like Tyranitar as well and, King Gambit. So having these 3 moves is really good coverage, and there's not much that can really switch in on you, especially when you're super fast and running a Life Orb for more damage. Now, the reason we are running these EVs, we have 108 speed EVs. This is the speed to outspeed Dragapult if our speed is doubled by either Tailwind or Slush Rush. So that's a pretty safe bet in speed. There are other speeds we'll run throughout this video, but this is the one that I like to use for this set, even though you do have some other options. And then we have just maximized attack with an Adamant Nature to give us the biggest hits possible, as this mon is going to be using a Life Orb and kind of functioning as a sweeper. We're then putting the remaining points into Special Defense, and then the split 4 EVs into Health and Defense. The reason we're doing this into Special Defense is because we have a really good HP stat, as we mentioned, and Defense is getting a 1.5 times boost from the Hail, so putting the points into the bulk where we need it is what makes the most sense for us, so we're going to dump them there. We're running Protect to keep it nice and safe because, this is our Pokemon we want to sweep, and we don't want it getting taken out, though it is pretty bulky. So if you didn't want to run Protect, you could run something like Ice Shard for some priority. You could even replace a different move with that. That's completely up to you. These sets are yours to run exactly how you please. Next we have the Belly Drum set, and there are so many ways to run a Belly Drum set. A lot of them just go Terra Ice and they run things like Ice Spinner and Ice Shard, and that's something you can do as well, but I'll talk about those after I talk about this one. The reason I like Terra Electric is because Bolt Beam is one of the strongest coverage types in the game. Having both Ice Stab and Electric Stab is really, really strong. We have Belly Drum to maximize our attack. It takes half of our health, but with the Citrus Berry, we will heal back a quarter of our health immediately afterwards. So it takes half of our health and we get +6 attack. It maximizes this stat by +6. That's really, really strong. That's going to make us hit really, really hard. Now, we have exactly 188 attack EVs here because that is the exact amount needed to one-hit KO Garganical at +6. We don't need any more than this. That is, you don't need to one-hit things tankier than that. You're going to one-hit a Garganical that has max HP investment at +6 with 188 EVs with either Ice Spinner or Terra Blast. Now, again, you can run Icicle Crash if you want that little bit more damage, so you can put a little bit less EVs in attack, but you do have that risk of missing. That's something to really, really keep in mind. And also, if you're running Terrain and you want to prevent getting rid of it, Icicle Crash is probably a better bet. Ice Shard could be really good here as well if you don't want to run Protect. I like Protect because I want to keep this thing safe, but honestly, Ice Shard would work really, really well here as well. Having a +6 stab priority is really strong, and if you're going to do that, you can honestly go like Terra Ice. And instead of, having this here, you can go with either like Earthquake for spread move if you want to help your team out with that. It doesn't get Rock Slide, but you can get things like Superpower, as we mentioned earlier. Heavy Slam is great on this Pokemon. You weigh 1,000,000. You weigh a lot, so it's a really, really powerful move. It like one-shots Sylveons that aren't invested in health. What else do we have? We have Facade in case you get burned. We have the Superpower for those steel types. I think I mentioned that just then. But yeah, you have a lot of decent options. Liquidation that you can run here, but I really, really like the Terra Blast and Electric build. I think it's really, really strong. There's not much that can really switch into you. That is not where we want to type that. There's not much that can really switch into you. And yeah, it's strong. Again, if you don't want to run Slush Rush with this, you can run Sheer Force and get that life or boost. Now, the EVs on this one, I'll get back to them. We're running that much attack, and the speed you'll notice is different to this one here. 114 is the speed needed to outspeed Adamant Tyranitar. Now, the reason that's important is this is a Belly Drum set that's going to be set up. We don't want to completely lose value if weather changes, and if Tyranitar wants to swap the weather on you, well, you've still got the speed to outspeed it if it's Adamant, which most of them are. Again, most of the bulk just going into special defense and no wasted points. We put them into health and defense. So this build's really strong. There's not much that wants to deal with you. If you get this set up, you're likely going to sweep. I highly recommend trying it out. It's a really, really solid build. Now, this next one, this one is personally my favorite because you live everything. You live everything with this. So Ice Spinner, Liquidation, Superpower, and Heavy Slam are the moves we're going to run because we're running an Assault Vest and we can't run anything like Protect. Now, we can swap out Ice Spinner again for Icicle Crash if we're running a Terrain, or if we don't mind that chance to miss. It's still very strong. The flinching is really, really big to play around as well. You can run Thick Fat on here if you're not running it on a Hail team, but I highly recommend running this Pokemon on a Hail team because it just benefits so much from it. So we're going to go with Slush Rush again and use the speed to our advantage. We're maximizing attack on this one. We don't have Belly Drum or anything like that, so we want to be pretty strong and hit really hard. And we're also running the 107 speed to outspeed things like Dragapult. We're then putting the rest into special defense like we have been. The EVs are pretty similar on this build here, and this one is so strong, especially with Terra Water. So the thing about this Pokemon is a lot of our Golden Goes are going to want to make it rain against you. You actually live with Assault Vest. You live with Assault Vest, but not only do you live with Assault Vest, if you Terra Water, you take like 30% from Golden Go from Make It Rain, and that's pretty strong. And you can I think you 3-hit KO back with Liquidation. Now, if you wanted to run Earthquake, go ahead, feel free. I don't think you get Stomping Tantrum as well. You can run Stomping Tantrum and you can hit it, really hard if you want to play around that Pokemon, but it's not going to be a threat to you once you Terra, so I really wouldn't worry about it. I think this set is one of the more consistent ones I've enjoyed running. It's just really hard to remove for your opponents, and it's constantly doing damage across the board with a really good speed. I really like this set. I think it has a lot of potential, and it's the one that's going to be featured later in the video. Now, it is a modified version of the set with a little less speed and a tiny bit more bulk, because I didn't create that team. It is a rental code, but I will explain all of that once I get to the gameplay. Onto the next build, we have the Choice Band set. Now, this one is maximizing the attack once again, and the speed is back to outspeeding Tyranitar, because we want to do some good damage even outside of the weather. Now, this set is really strong because you have the double speed and now you're just hitting hard off rip. Choice Band and Ice Spinners hit really hard. Choice Banded Earthquakes are great for taking out multiple opponents. Heavy Slams will completely one-shot a lot of the fairies in the metagame. And Choice Banded Ice Shards are really, really strong in the late game to clean up if you run out of the speed or if you just want to out-priority your opponents. Ice Spinner, again, great for getting rid of the terrain so that later on you can use something like Ice Shard. You'll notice, again, the bulk is into special defense. That's something that I'm going to be doing with this Pokemon across all of the builds. And that's solely because that's the stat that needs the investment. We have plenty of defenses and plenty of health. This stat is what needs the investment the most. You can always do something like this where you drop this down 1 and you get 1 point into each of these to make the bulk a little better across the board. So yeah, feel free to do stuff like that. But the Choice Banded set is really strong as well. It's very similar to the Life Orb set. The Life Orb set just has a little bit more speed because we want it to be really good outside of weather. And you can do the same thing with this set as well. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, they're pretty similar sets, but they're the offensive sets you would run. And I think they're really, really good. This Pokemon genuinely is so strong. Terra Ice is what we went with this one because Ice Shard, Terra Ice Choice Banded Ice Shard will OHKO a lot of things. So it's definitely something you want to have. And something to keep in mind. Having good banded priority is something not to take for granted on a team. This one here was the first set I ever actually tried of this Pokemon. I remember playing against my buddy Blaze and trying out Cetitan, and I was like, well, this move pool is really cool, and it gets both Slush Rush and Entrainment, which is really cool. If you lead this with an Abomasnow, you can Entrainment that Abomasnow and give it Slush Rush, making it the fastest thing on the field, which is really cool to do. Now, there's also other ways of using it. I used to use it with a Tinkaton. I would Entrainment the Tinkaton and run the eject button on the Cetitan, so that when opponents attack into Cetitan, it would swap out into the Abomasnow. There's so much you can do with it, and I think it's really, really cool. It also gets speed control under Slush Rush with Icy Wind, which is incredible to have. Slowing down your opponent so you can go faster with your allies is really good. Helping Hand to boost the damage of that ally, and then Protect to keep it safe, because I felt that it was really, really useful to have. Now, if you don't want to run Protect, you don't need to. You can run things like Charm. Charm is really good for lowering your opponent's attack stages, something that I was really enjoying on it as well. So these are the doubles builds, and honestly, man, I think these are so good. I think this Pokemon performs really, really well. I find it very consistent, which is cool because Ice types never really had the love. But now it feels like they're just so much better than they've ever been because of the Hail change, and I'm so glad Game Freak did something like that. Now I'm going to jump into some of the single sets. So the single sets are really, really basic ones, but I wanted to give people these as well, just in case they're not too familiar. So this is just a Citrus Berry Belly Drum set. We have to actually have the HP there because you want your HP to be at an even number, so that when you Belly Drum to half health, you'll get your Citrus Berry. The most awkward thing is using Belly Drum and being 1 HP away from getting your Citrus Berry. You do not want that to happen. Make sure you have your HP at an even number, so it goes straight to half when you use Belly Drum. We're going to be running Ice Spinner, Ice Shove Priority, and Earthquake. As it's singles, we don't have to worry about hitting our partners with this move, so the coverage of hitting just, Steel types and Fire types that resist us, and hitting everything else in the game, and then having priority. So that is what we want to run. We maximize the attack because we're going to be sweeping in a singles format. We don't have to worry about 2 opponents doubling into us. So we maximize the attack, and we run just max speed. Now, you can run Jolly. Jolly will actually allow you to outspeed things like Breloom, but Adamant is fine without it. In weather, you're going to outspeed everything, but yeah, if you want to outspeed things like Breloom, then you'll need Jolly. That's for outside of weather. So then we'll go into this next set here, which is the Life Orb set that I mentioned I would talk about earlier. So this is just, again, a max speed, max attack Adamant. You can go Jolly. This way you will outspeed things like Breloom, as I mentioned, and we just have Life Orb with Sheer Force. And we have Icicle Crash because it benefits from Sheer Force. Liquidation also benefits, and then we have just Ice Shard and Earthquake for more damage. This is a really good consistent set as well that doesn't require any setup. I know I went through those really, really fast today, but there's so many sets and I didn't want to sit here talking for hours. We're going to jump into a gameplay and I'll talk to you guys there. Now, the team I used in this upcoming game was created by Atmosphere VGC. This is their channel. Go drop them a sub and share the love. They have a lot of videos here with a lot of really cool teams, and it's definitely a channel worth checking out. Okay, so this was the first game I actually played with this team, and this is actually amazing, honestly. Go check out the creator. I had their page just before. I have their link in the description as well, and it was really, really fun to play. And this Cetitan is just so strong. The Assault Vest Cetitan especially in Hail with that defense buff, just lives everything and has so much just offensive pressure as well due to its speed stat. Now, the opponent here makes a really interesting choice to Terra Ground the Garchomp. I suppose that's so they lose the 4 times weakness to Ice, but they're still in front of 2 Ice types, so that felt pretty interesting, and I really didn't see this play coming. They go for the Tailwind. I assume they wanted to Rock Slide here, I guess, once I saw the Tailwind, and that is what they ended up doing. Now, Abomasnow avoids, which is pretty big. Let's go Abomasnow. And you see that even though that's a super effective hit from a Garchomp, it doesn't even 2-hit KO us because of the Hail boost. And then there is a tremendous amount of damage there from the Cetitan. Now, it would not have KO'd our Abomasnow. We do have a Focus Sash. It was a really interesting play from the opponent. But yeah, that was definitely a KO on the Garchomp for us, regardless of what happened. Unless they got a double flinch crit or something. But again, that wasn't going to happen. Now, they have the speed up with the Tailwind. And they're going to Golden Go. And this is why I wanted to showcase this game specifically. The Water Terror is so good. I was thinking about doing it on Abomasnow, and I was like, you know what? No, I've got my Sash intact still, which is, again, from the miss. Sorry to the opponent for that one. But we have the Sash intact, and we have the Terra Water Cetitan. And I'm thinking, this is a really good time to show this off. Do I want to keep this mon in? And I'm like, you know what? I'll go for the Veil, and I will go for the Terra Water, and I will just hit this thing with a Liquidation. I'm thinking, oh, they Terra Steel, and that's what I was thinking about the superpower, but making that kind of a read could go really, really badly, and they did just Terra, and sometimes in game I'll do that. I'll forget that they just Terra'd, or that they, or what their Terra is. It's something I'm still getting used to as a player. So yeah, we go Terra Water and Cetitan, and we're going to get the Veil up, but even before the Veil, take a look at the damage that Golden Go does to us here, and it's not a lot. So there's a big Make It Rain, and we take nothing. We take no damage. we take no damage. We take no damage whatsoever. I probably misquoted in my earlier part of the video when I said you take 30%. I think that's from like Specs Modest or something. But yeah, we take no damage there, and we liquidate back into them, and we do a decent chunk. It's a 3-hit KO. If you get the defense drop, it turns into a 2-hit KO on roll, which is pretty cool. But yeah, now we've got the Veil up, and that Pokemon's not going to do anything to us. They, of course, can haze with Murkrow to get rid of their -1 special attack. But I think, yeah, I'm safe to just to get rid of Murkrow now and protect Abomasnow, because I don't fear Golden Go at all. There's no reason for me to remove it. And it's weird having 2 Ice types in the face of a Pokemon that wipes them, And then the Foul Play comes out, which is so scary. I'm left with 18 health. And I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. But we still live. We still live. We still live. It only does 17 damage to us because of the -1, the Aurora Veil, and the Terra Water. That is how bulky this thing can be. That is a Golden Go. Make it rain. That's crazy. So yeah, that's there showcasing how bulky this Pokemon is. And the Foul Play from the Murkrow did so much more, which is so crazy. Then they brought this in, and it copies the negative special attack changes, but that doesn't really affect us too much. And yeah, now we're in a fairly okay spot. They have one more turn of Tailwind. I'm checking that there because, I lose count in my head at times. I do tend to be like laying on my couch as I'm playing these games. And yeah, so I'm thinking about what to do next. I'm like, do I just want to get rid of my Pokemon, or do I just go for like, the Blizzard and attack and just rely on the 2 in the back to close this game out for me, because they have 2 Pokemon left. My lead Pokemon are not doing the greatest, but I can save Cetitan to come in and have the speed advantage, So I do swap it out here for the Annihilate, I believe. Because I'm not too afraid. I have 1 HP. They're not going to go for anything too crazy into that slot, right? They're just going to hit it. And I can take the -2, Make It Rain pretty well. And if a fighting move came out to the slot, I'm going to take it, easily. They do Wide Guard to try to block a Blizzard coming out because they don't want to take that ice damage. But, Make It Rain's going to take us out first anyway. And now we've got the Annihilate. And Annihilate is in. It's got a 1 hit on it, which means Rage Fist is getting that nice boost. It's really good. So running this, the way this team works is really strong. It's actually got Annihilate behind Aurora Veil with an Indeedee as another option that you can bring for some Follow Me. It's really strong. A bulk up set behind a Veil makes Rage Fist really powerful. And this team was really well thought out and really well built. I was happy to use it. I had a lot of fun. So here we have the speed advantage again. We just come on in, and here we go. We have Rage Fist take out Golden Go, and the Icicle Crash here to take out the the Flamigo. And if we were running Ice Spinner, I wouldn't have clenched and worried about missing there. But you know, it worked out. And here's the Rage Fist. It's already taken 1 hit, so the base power is 100. The monkey is strong, as we know. And we're able to take this game. I love this team. I love this Pokemon. I love Cetitan. I think it's really, really strong. And I want to talk to you guys about something really quickly here before I end the video. So as of today, I've created a new channel in my Discord server called Battle Gameplay Submission. And now this is for you guys to submit your gameplays. If you use one of the sets I talk about in this video, or your own creative sets, or if you use just really, really fun gimmicky strategies, send them in here. And I'd love to upload videos to the channel of me reacting to them and trying to guess your thought process as you play. So definitely something to keep in mind. The link to the Discord will be down in the description. And I'd love to work with you guys here. I really love communities. And I'm hoping you guys would love to be a part of mine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.